Hi everyone, how you doing? I'm Julia.
And I'm Gary.
And we're travelling the States and Canada for a year. Now, we arrived in March this year and we've tried a variety of campsites, so you don't have to. And we're going to give you the lowdown on what we think are the best. So we've come up with 10 different options, and some are affordable, very affordable in fact, and some are completely free. So we're going to start with our affordable options, and we've got 4 key affordable options that we really enjoyed. And then we've got 6 free options that we think you're going to like as well. So coming in at number 1 on the affordable list is Harvest Hosts. And if you've never heard of Harvest Hosts, it's essentially an app that lists loads of different organisations, in particular farms, that you can go and stay at. Now, the quid pro quo is that you'll spend some money on their products. Now, the pros to Harvest Host are, of course, that you're going to get a very unique experience. Very often the products are exemplary. They are really good products. We've had some fantastic meat products, great beauty products and jewellery. It's a really wide variety. Now, the cons to this, of course, are you do have to pay a membership fee. Now, we paid a joining fee. It was initially $99, but there was a 15% reduction. So we ended up getting it for around $84, didn't we, Gary, for the year? So we paid $84 for the year, but that allowed us to be able to book any amount of these Harvest Hosts that we want. There has been some debate online in some of the Harvest Host forums as to whether it should be $20 that you spend at each business or $30. Now, when I go to book on my app, it still says recommend a minimum spend of $20. And usually we spend at least $20. Sometimes we spend quite a bit more because they've got products that you really want that time. But that's the going rate at the moment. So it does cost you something when you get there, but you do get products for it. So we do recommend Harvest Host.
So coming in at number 2 on our affordables list is the Corps of Engineer Campgrounds. Now, these are really good campgrounds. They're normally situated around former civil engineering projects that the Corps of Engineers have completed. The pros to these campsites are the pitches are usually very flat. You know what you're getting. They're always a sort of a standardized setup. You'll have a fire ring, possibly a barbecue. You'll always have a picnic table. And the price is reasonable as well. So normally between sort of $20, $24 per night. So the cons to these campgrounds are they're not always on the main route, so they're off the beaten track. They're not always private. Sometimes they're quite close together. And the facilities are not always working. So laundrettes are not always working despite advertised as such.
So coming in at number 3 on our pick for affordable campgrounds is the National Park Service campgrounds. Now, we bought this fantastic book before we came out here, and it gives a full list of what national park campgrounds are available. But you can find out that information on the recreation.gov website, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah.
Now, what you're getting with these ones is a very typical setup, very similar to the Corps of Engineer campgrounds. You'll have pretty much a level pitch. Some of them aren't level because it depends where you are. And what you'll get is a fire ring, possibly a barbecue, but not always, and a picnic bench. They do tend to be, on the con side, a little bit close to each other, we've found, haven't we? But you are able to look online first, and sometimes, if you're lucky, you can get a pitch that's got a little bit more room from somewhere else. And we've struck gold a couple of times, haven't we? Yeah. The cost for these varies, and it can be anywhere from sort of around $18, depending on what facilities are available, right up to the higher end. We paid $44 when we went to Yellowstone, but it was more of a primitive campground. But you will be paying in the region of $80 to $83 for a little bit more facilities.
So coming in at number 4 on our affordable lists are the National Forest campgrounds. Now, these are all over the place and really, really accessible. And some of them are in fantastic locations. Now, recently we got one just outside, about 3 miles outside of Mount Rushmore. Cost us $20, and it was brilliant, just what we wanted. The pros for these are, again, you can find them and book them online at the recreation.gov site, and again, you can pick your site within the campground, which is great. The cons to these types of campsites tend to be that they're a little bit more primitive than your average campsite. So the one we went to recently only had a sort of a drop box toilet, and that was the only facility it had in there. Also, they tend to be a bit lacking in phone signal, so you not always have the connectivity that you like to rely on.
So the moment you've all been waiting for, free stops. So coming in at number 1 on our free stops It's not technically 100% free because you do need to pay for the app, but it's Boondockers Welcome. Now, Boondockers Welcome, by all accounts, used to be a standalone app. It's now a subsection of Harvest Hosts. So once you've bought the Harvest Host app, you then have the opportunity to pay an extra, I think we paid $60, didn't we? Or thereabouts, to have Boondockers Welcome added on as an addition. Now, what that then opens up, on your app, it opens up a load of what look like little Monopoly houses all over the map. It's really very lovely. And they are everywhere, all over the place. We've used them in Canada. We've used them in the States. They are fabulous. What you're effectively doing is turning up at people's houses and staying in their driveway, on their property. They tend to be like-minded people who also travel a lot. The pros to that is you get to meet some fabulous people, and we've met some brilliant friends doing this. In terms of cons, there isn't really many cons. Sometimes you're on a very small driveway, so that can be a small con, but it's actually outweighed by some of the locations, which can be very central.
So coming in at number 2 on our free campgrounds list are the campgrounds on BLM Land, or the Bureau of Land Management. So that tends to be land that is owned and controlled by the Bureau of Land Management. The pros to these are that there are lots of them, especially on the west coast. They are free, although there are one or two that are a couple of dollars, $5 to $8, but on the whole, 99% of them are free. The cons to these campsites are exactly the opposite. There are not many on the east coast, but great opportunities and lots of them.
So coming in at number 3 on our list of free campsites is one of my favourite apps that I'm using at the moment, and that's iOverlander. Now I'm going to name iOverlander and Campendium in the same sort of bracket because they're very similar. I use iOverlander quite a lot, and the pros to using it is that you would be so surprised. There are places to stay up and down the country that are eclectic, that are unique, that are wonderful. Obviously, there are some cons to this, because some of the campgrounds are a little bit out of date. We stayed in one the other night, and actually we didn't realise till the morning it said no RVs parking overnight. We were like, we'd already stayed. But please, 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 if you are using iOverlander or Campendium, please clean up after yourself. Leave no trace. That is the ethos for any of us that are using any of these campgrounds. We want to be able to use these free spaces, so let's look after them. Fabulous apps.
So coming in at number 4 on our free stops are Laybys, Truckstops and petrol stations. Now petrol stations, especially with the Flying J and the Pilot petrol stations, they allow you to stay. Now the pros to here is obviously there's lots of them. They tend to be on the main interstate, so on the way you're driving anyway. In terms of if you're at the petrol station, the pros there, of course, you've got fuel. You've got petrol, diesel, gas, whatever you want to call it. And that's all available and ready for you. Now, the cons are that if you stay in those locations, they can be very noisy, especially if you get parked up next to something, some big truck that's got a refrigerated back that has to keep the refrigeration unit going all night. Also, they can be fumey for exactly the same reason. And thirdly, on the cons is you have to remember that the truck stops are for trucks. Whilst you are allowed to go in there, truck stops for the big trucks, and of course they have to stop there in terms of their driver's hours, etc. So you're kind of taking up one of their spaces if you are in a truck stop. So we tend to use these very rarely, only if it's really necessary.
And coming in at number 5, we've got Walmart. Now, Walmart's quite popular as a place to stay. We recently stayed in our first one. Walmart nearly everywhere. And also you can get your shopping all in one go. There are a couple of cons to staying in a Walmart car park. So first of all, you can expect to be next to quite a number of other motorhomes, camper vans, trucks, etc. It is a little bit noisy. You do have very good security there because there tends to be CCTV cameras and lots of lighting, as we noticed. But for us, it was a welcome stop. We do like the Walmart car park in terms of just being able to stop for ease, but you're not going to get a beautiful site. It's not going to be a great view, and you really, really need to check in with the Walmart manager as well when you get there, because not all of the Walmarts take people. Some of them are unable to take campers, so double check with them. We stayed in one in Cody. It was fantastic. The staff were excellent, but whilst we would stay in a Walmart car park again, it wouldn't be top on our list of things to stay, would it?
No. And coming in finally at number 6 on our free list is Crackerbarrel and some restaurants. Now, Crackerbarrel is what everybody talks about or they know about. However, if you know you're going out and you're in your oven, you're going out for a meal, then why not do like we did on Julia's birthday? I phoned ahead to the restaurant we wanted to go to and said, would you allow us to stay overnight if we, as we're eating in your restaurant? Now, a lot of them, if they've got the space to do it, of course they're not going to turn you down because nobody's using their car park overnight. So that's good. So always think about, can you phone ahead? Is it a good idea? And then there's a stop for you as well as the Cracker Barrel. Now, the Cracker Barrels tend to be really lovely. Obviously, they're well laid out on the inside. Of course, the quid pro quo there is you can be expected to eat either breakfast or a dinner if you're going to stay there, but make sure you ask the manager beforehand.
So we hope that's given you a really good idea of where to stay if you are RV in the States and even Canada. Most of these apply to Canada as well. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a subscribe, maybe give us a nice like and a comment. We welcome all your comments and questions, and if we can answer them, we'll be more than happy. Take care, everyone. Bye.